my spooky crew, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. My name is Alex and thanks for coming to my spooky corner of the internet. Okay, so many of you know that a month and a half ago, I did a video reaction or some sort of review, I guess it's more of a review, of the shock doc Demon in the White House. And for the most part, it was fairly well received, but I got a really interesting comment from one of the producers of Demon in the White House, which I honestly didn't really expect. So we're gonna dive right into that. I'm gonna talk about what the comment was and why it's so fascinating, and then yeah, we'll chat about it. But before we get started, be sure to click on that subscribe button, give this video a like, and be sure to click on that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload a new video. Also, if you love ghost hunting tips, ghost stories, paranormal investigation stuff, then head on over to my website at thespookystuff.com. All right, let's get started. So as I mentioned before, my YouTube video reviewing Demon in the White House was for the most part well received. Now, was it a favorable review? It was not. It was actually pretty negative. So I did expect a few people to maybe defend the shock doc, especially given, like, you know, the cast members, you know, the paranormal experts or investigators they pulled in for the documentary. I expected a little bit of backlash, but what I didn't expect was one of the producers to respond to me. Now, keep in mind, yes, I have like a little over 3,000 subscribers, but if you look at my views, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not fantastic. Literally, I just do this as a passion because I love it. So I'm not doing it for views or anything. So we're talking like a little YouTube channel with, like, you know, I'd be lucky if I hit over 200 views sometimes. So I was really shocked when I got this comment from, I'm probably gonna mispronounce this name and I am so sorry, it's not intentional, Divvy Crockett. And they said, thanks for the review. I will say, however, you don't mention that this is based on a book called The Residents by Andrew Piper. If you had researched the project, then this doc would make a lot more sense, I'm thinking sense, and you might reconsider your critique, but either way, glad you watched it and always happy to see reviews, bad or good. As for the photo by Abby, we had a few people pushing for that photo, and as far as I have seen, that debunking is questionable, but either way, it's entertainment. Best. So this is pretty huge because I already knew about The Residents by Andrew Piper, and actually it was Jaunts that perked me up that this may have been based on a book. And I actually knew this back in like November, December, before I watched the documentary, because when I saw like the title was Demon in the White House, I was like, oh good Lord, let's do a little bit of research on here. But I didn't bring up the book because I didn't really... If I had mentioned the book in my review of Demon in the White House, it would have been much less favorable and a lot more brutal, so to speak. So, for a multitude of reasons. And it was one of those things where it was like, is it based on this book? I'm not sure. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Because, like I said, Jaunts was the first to really perk me up to this idea. And Jaunts was tipped off about this by a person named Priscilla Bettist. And like I said, I do not mean to mispronounce names, doing the best I can. It was one of those things where I thought, okay, how do I go about this? So ultimately I decided not to mention the novel because this was being presented as a documentary and being presented as something that was well researched and for the most part true. However, if you look up The Residents by Andrew Piper, it is a fictional book. Yes, it was inspired by, you know, a true story, you know, by the Pierces and the Lincolns being into, you know, seances and spiritualism. But that would be like basing a documentary on Jack and Rose from Titanic and claiming that Jack and Rose from Titanic are real. The Titanic did happen. I mean, that event did happen, but Jack and Rose are fictionalized. That's exactly what's happening here, where they based an entire documentary making a case that there are demons in the White House based it on a fictionalized book. The cover of the book literally says a novel. So we have a huge problem here. So our producer here that commented on my video basically admitted that this was based on fabrication. And her argument that I would have changed my critique, so to speak, had I known it was based on The Residents, no, it would have. I mean, I knew about it, but I didn't bring it up. If they wanted me to bring it up, then, oh, my review would have been much more brutal. So I'm basically going to say what I was too nice to say in the last video and say it here. This was more of a mockumentary. It was not a documentary, this was a mockumentary. This was a fictionalized account using the whole what if scenario. And honestly, that's fine. I just wish they had been more transparent and more forthcoming about it. Like saying like inspired by true events or inspired by this fictional book. Because pushing the demon narrative in this documentary is incredibly harmful. I've said this so many times. It's harmful. And it's validating this idea that, you know, demons are everywhere, and I really didn't appreciate that. But also it's pushing this pseudo-Christian narrative that honestly is problematic for anyone that is not Christian. Like this propaganda that everything is demons is so Christian-centric. And I really, you know, a few people mentioned this when I tweeted about what this producer said, and people are feeling like the industry is treating them like they're stupid, like they're too stupid to realize that it's based on fiction. And they made this documentary seem like it was based on facts, like it was all facts that they were using, which is why I'm surprised that they were able to get people like Dave Schrader, Lisa Morton, Joshua P. Warren, and Jeff Ballinger to be a part of this. Like, I am shocked. Like, maybe they didn't know what they were doing. Maybe they didn't know what they were walking into. But if I were one of them and not knowing what the documentary was about and then having it presented the way that it presented, I would have a big issue with that as a cast member. Because that honestly puts their integrity into question. And honestly, like I said, you know, they could have been walking into the project thinking it was one thing and then it turned into be another. So, you know, I'm not going to hate on them about it because honestly, if they went into it with genuine intentions, then that's fine. But if they went into it knowing it was what it was and basically becoming part of the charade, then there's an issue. But we'll never know that answer for sure, and I'm just going to leave that up for the universe and karma to deal with. Here's the big issue that's underlying in this whole thing. It is becoming prevalent that paranormal entertainment is trying to pass off fiction as fact, and we are starting to see this everywhere in paranormal TV, and honestly it's becoming a bigger problem than ever. Like if you look at the early seasons of Ghost Hunters where they were, you know, debunking and everything, and then compare it to like TV now, you can see how much it has changed. So just when you're watching these shows, be extremely careful about what you're watching and be careful about believing what you are watching, because everything you are seeing has been edited. Like you will never see a show where they just turn the camera on and then they just leave it on. There's some sort of editing going on. There's editing with the footage, there's editing with sound. It's edited. And so many people believe it, and so many people don't ask questions. So, which is why we have this demon thing becoming as popular as it is. And overall, this shock doc, they failed to mention that it was based on fiction. It's a big issue. They needed to be more transparent about it because one, someone shouldn't have to be like, oh, let's do the research. Because honestly, it should have been more transparent. That's all I'm going to say. Like now, if you go to the IMDb page, Andrew Piper is actually credited as a writer. By the way, if you ever wonder whether or not a reality show is real or not, most reality shows have writers. And that's not just for paranormal investigation shows, everywhere. There's a story that they're trying to tell, and there needs to be structure with that story. And the crazy thing about it is that the people that they used as their experts aren't experts in this particular field. Like I know several people who are experts in spiritualism and hauntings in the White House. Most of them women. But they weren't a part of this documentary. They were basically going for stars, which, you know, again, you have the writers and there's so much to unpack here. But anyway, this is a lesson in let's not believe everything we see on TV. And there is a major issue with paranormal entertainment repackaging fiction and presenting it as real. Like, it has to stop. It really has to stop. Or at the very least, just be more transparent that this is fiction. This reminds me of the Mermaids documentary that aired, like, oh my gosh, it's been a while. But I remember when people watched the Mermaids documentary and so many thought it was real, and basically the network had to re-air something, like they had to do like a special to basically say, oh hey guys, it's not real. But this isn't a new thing. I mean, even dating back to, you know, War of the Worlds, you know, the radio play, you know, people tuned in too late and they were hearing what they thought was a legit newscast, and they were absolutely freaking out and they thought that War of the Worlds was real. But War of the Worlds, that happened by accident. Mermaids, kind of an accident, but also a really brilliant marketing ploy, I think, in my personal opinion. Demon in the White House was intentional deception. Totally intentional deception. And I probably just added myself to every do not cast and, you know, do not call list in paranormal entertainment history, but that's okay. I have nothing to lose. I'm not making any money from this. I mean, I make a little bit of money from my YouTube and my website, but I'm not making the big bucks. I work a regular day job. The golden thing here that happened was that Divi deleted her original comment and she added this comment: I appreciate all reviews. Thanks, Alex. I love your intro. So I don't know if this was backpedaling or she made the comment and then realized she shouldn't have made the comment and deleted it, or she was getting quite a bit of pushback for her original comment. So either way, we learned some major lessons in this comment. So, you know, don't believe everything you see on TV, kids. What do you think of this situation? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to share it with your friends and family who also enjoy the spooky stuff and paranormal reality TV. Honestly, I think this needs to be pushed out more because this needs to be known. This is something that really needs to be known. It doesn't necessarily need to be like this video, but, you know, at least at the very least push out like what Jaunts has published about this. I'll put the link to her articles in the comments or in the description. Definitely get the word out there, everybody, because this is something we really need to be cognizant about and spread awareness about. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next round.